Welcome to Real Estate Exposed, helping people in San Diego buy, sell, and refinance their biggest investment, delivering you timely truths, exposing important issues, and helping you get into the right home. Here are your hosts, real estate expert Daniel Beer, top-ranked professional by sales volume at one of San Diego's largest brokerages, and his mortgage partner, Todd Pianin, with over $2 billion in funded loans.
Good morning. It is February, so welcome to month number 2 of 2017. You're on Real Estate Exposed with Daniel Beer, Todd Pianin, and we're coming fresh off the home selling workshops. We're going to talk about some of the touching moments from the event this past Wednesday. Just incredible connections made with people in the community that are looking for more and to reject the status quo, that expect more out of their home sale. But first, of course, Todd, there is...
Before anything, though, Puxatawny Phil he saw his shadow, so that means that
the groundhog.
So I have to let you know that we do have 6 weeks more of winter, and so my question, could that affect the home? Could Puxatawny Phil affect the home buying and selling market?
We'll find out.
Yeah, we will.
We'll find out. See, Todd Pianin, who's my co-host here on the show, he is, aside from being vice president, branch manager at Home Street, and aside from the fact that he's funded over $2 billion in loans over the years, he's the guy that I go to on a regular basis, regardless of if I have an actual mortgage question, but just to keep my pulse on what's happening in the financial markets, what's going on with interest rates, what are the equity markets doing, and how is the political climate affecting the real estate environment. So Todd is here. He is your guru for the next hour as well, and a very eventful week again from the White House. What are some of the major events, especially the one that caught my eye, Todd? I'd love your take on is as it relates to deregulation. Deregulation was Trump has started to hit on that and talk about it, though it flew under the radar because of all of the travel ban took so much attention,
right,
that the deregulation issues flew under the radar. But talk about that and how it affects loans and lending interest rates and the housing outlook.
Well, basically what he came out and said that he wants to cut 75% of the regulation that's in the marketplace right now. And by doing that, will that affect the mortgage market? I think over time it will. He hasn't specifically addressed Dodd-Frank and all the regulation that got brought up in the Dodd-Frank bill. There's a lot of talk that's on his agenda, and he wants to dismantle the CFPB, the existing director of the CFPB that has no oversight basically over but he doesn't report to the president, doesn't report to Congress, doesn't report to anybody. He's saying that everything should be left alone. What I can tell you is that there were some good things that came out of Dodd-Frank. Basically, I think that it put more power back in the consumer's hand. And I think that there's been a lot of new disclosures that have come out because of Dodd-Frank. I do know that it has slowed down the closing process, especially for you and your team, Dan. When we could get, you could get docs out in one day, fund the next day, and be, and record, and we could speed up the process. Mm-hmm. Because you have something called a closing disclosure that goes out to the client now on a purchase transaction that they have basically 3 days to review. And the reason for that closing disclosure is so that there's no surprises at the closing table on fees and costs, and so there's no bait and switch type situation. So I actually think that's actually pretty good.
Some of it was with very good intention.
Right.
The issue is that it was, I'll make up a number, but I'm roughly right. It was let's call it 2,000-page document that maybe had it been 30 pages long or 50 pages long, they could have gotten all the good stuff.
Correct.
And all the rest of it is bloat and red tape and bureaucracy and just makes it difficult to do business. And ultimately, what the government fails to understand is when you make it more expensive for business owners to do business, they have to make it more expensive for the consumer.
Correct.
And so much, when policy gets too far left, too liberal, it tends to bridge into that where where the very people that they're wanting to protect are the people being negatively affected.
Correct, and that's partially what Trump's saying. It's regulation as a whole. He's saying is costing the Americans way too much money because it costs small businesses way too much money to be over-regulated. So what he's attempting to do is he's attempting to sort of break the chains on that, and hopefully deliver a much easier, cleaner experience and help the small businesses, because they're the ones that have seen the most been the most penalized by all of this over-regulation. So
you're listening to Real Estate Exposed, by the way, with Daniel Beer and Todd Pianin. Here's my big take with just all the fireworks over the course of the last 10, 12 days out of Washington is, regardless of political agenda, regardless of what side you're on, something very interesting is going on. Something that you can't help but admire, which is just the simple idea that a presidential candidate now turned president is delivering on the campaign promises.
Yes.
All right, so whether you like the promises or not, let's leave that issue aside for just a moment.
Yeah.
If we can, as a country, move forward in a format where what we vote for we get, I love that idea.
Well, how about the
fact so that's very interesting. It makes you take your vote seriously.
Well, right. Well, I also, I talked about it. I talked about it at the home selling seminar, right? That most presidents, what he's done in the last 12 or 14 days, most presidents don't get accomplished in their first year in office. I mean, he's really turning the whole political system, upside down, because he's doing everything he said he was going to do and then some. So
that part of it is really interesting. Here's where I have an issue with it, though, is the fact that it happened in 14 days. Okay? So you're not an expert president just because you get elected president.
Right.
You're not let's think of it in these terms. Let's imagine that a new CEO is brought into a company that has, it's failing or has issues that need to be corrected. And it's a big company. I'm talking a big, a Fortune 100 company.
Right.
New CEO comes in. He's asked to just change the company. He's asked to make the company great again.
A turnaround CEO, basically.
There you go.
Called a turnaround CEO.
What would that person do? That person would go into the company. He'd take time to talk to every department head, to spend time with people at every level of the company. The people who are in the front lines, the mid-management, upper management, the C-level executives. He would get to know every aspect of it intimately. He'd review reports. He'd look at trends. He'd really dive in to completely immerse himself in the company, understand the company inside and out, and then finally, let's just call it 3 to 6 months later, would he begin to really shake it up based on the findings that he has. What makes me uncomfortable is that just the fact that you're elected president, and it could be for anything. Okay, just when you become a doctor on day one, you're not the world's greatest doctor. You have to actually acclimate yourself. Let's give it time. Let's admit what I would like to see. See, this isn't commentary on what he's done. I don't know. Maybe what he's done is great. Maybe what he's done is horrible. I would just simply feel better about it if I believed that he had time to maybe spend substantial meeting time with, let's say, the CIA and the head of the CIA, and with ambassadors of different countries around the world, and to get all the intelligence and to digest it and to really think about it and to talk to all of the just different department heads within the government and really download the intel, take it in, and then move forward. If he then moved forward with the exact same stuff that he's already moved forward with, fine. At least I understand that he's had time to think for a second. That would make me more comfortable, and I think that's part of what's making the American people uncomfortable and the international community uncomfortable. We need to understand and believe that it's not just knee-jerk reaction, but rather that it's thoroughly thought out. And again, he could be making the same decisions at that point, but that would instill more confidence. At least for me, it would. And obviously, that's not the way that he operates. It's going to be interesting to watch it all play out. And again, this isn't a political show. It's not intended to be, I like this and I don't like this about what he's doing.
Right. But
I just want him to take a breath, for God's sake, I think learn what's going on. There's no way he's an expert on everything that's going on in the world not yet.
It's not. I agree with you, but I mean, what I would say to you is he's acting like a turnaround CEO, and he's basically living up to his promises that he's trying to cut the size of government, and that's what he's attempting to do. He's trying to, make sure that we're not overspending or we're not doing things that business as usual. I mean, he ran on the basis that he wants to clean out the swamp. I mean, one of the things he put into effect right away is term limits. I mean, that was another issue. Not having anybody in his cabinet or on his team being able to become a lobbyist after they give up. After they after they serve 5 years.
And I love that. Here, let me better qualify than what I'm saying. Domestically, fine. Domestically, maybe go at it.
Right.
But on an international level, it is an incredibly complex system.
Mm-hmm.
What you do and how it affects one country versus the other, and what the histories are, and how that affects a global economy versus only a domestic economy. I would at least like to know that he's taken a month or two to really meet with the ambassadors of the most, of the most sensitive countries that we're going to change policy on, to really understand what that means and what that does, to talk to, just to learn, just to learn. Being elected president when you've been a lifetime businessman doesn't make you a world expert on how international issues will play out in the long term. And I would just want to see more
vetting.
I just like to see more vetting on that side of it. That's all. Even if we came to the same conclusions, I would just like to have known that he thought about it for more than a day.
I think time will tell. I think that he had time to think about it on his while he was running for president, and I think that we'll see if how things play out.
When he's running for president, his goal is win the presidency.
Right. Well, we'll see.
And that's just him. That was Hillary's goal. That was everybody's goal. That's the focus at that point.
We'll see how Trump the president does versus Trump the candidate, and only time will tell. My opinion.
You're listening to Real Estate Exposed, News Radio 600 Kogo, Daniel Beer and Todd Pianin. Number here is 800-676-2420, 800-676-2420. By the way, if you've been looking to purchase a home, you've noticed how difficult it is right now, how little inventory is out there. You're frustrated, and you are trying to figure out how you get ahead of the market. That's something we're going to put in front of you here coming up out of the break. Again, this is Dan Beer and Todd Pianin, Real Estate Exposed, 800-676-2420. Welcome back, Real Estate Exposed, Daniel Beer and Todd Pianin. We're talking interview questions you need to be asking.
So that really was
when hiring a listing agent to sell your home.
That was really an aha moment for me at the seminar, Dan, because we've talked about it. You and I, you've added it to the seminar. But I mean, what are some of those questions? Can we give the listeners who didn't make it to the seminar? I mean, what are some important things that people should really?
Yeah, we'll give you these.
Be asking, because to me it was like, God, why didn't I do that last time?
4 things you need to be asking at a very bare minimum. So you have to have standards. I'm a big believer in standards in anything you do in life, whether it be standards in your business, in your marriage, your relationships. Standards. The way you treat your health, also what you expect out of your professional relationships, such as the person you entrust your nest egg to when you go to sell a home or condo or any type of real estate in San Diego County or anywhere in the country. So First and foremost, does the agent that you're interviewing, and again, these are 4 things that I would need to screen. They're not even interview questions. You need to screen for these before you even consider somebody. Does the agent that you're considering offer a guaranteed sale program? Do they offer a guaranteed sale program where they put their money where their mouth is and remove the risk from your plate and put it on their own? So as an example, ours would be, our guaranteed sale program that we offer to those that want it, is that we'll guarantee to sell your home within 29 days of going on the market and at 100% of your asking price. Should it not sell at 100% of your asking price, we'll pay you back the difference. Okay, so again, stated differently, guaranteed sold at 100% of your asking price within 29 days, or I'll pay the difference. There are other types of guarantees. What I can tell you, networking, and I mean intimately networking, traveling the country to very private, high-level masterminds with the very best, I'm talking the top 1% of the top 1% around the country. Nearly every one of the top producers, but more importantly, the top servicers in the country offer a guaranteed sale program. So that's number one. Clear there?
Clear.
Number two, does the agent your offer lock you into a 6-month or year-long contract? Are they locking you into a 3-month contract? Are they locking you in for any period of time at all?
Isn't that normal?
It is extremely normal. That's what the masses of agents all do. Or, again, when you're searching for the best, instead of putting you in a hostage contract, do they offer a minute-to-minute listing agreement? A listing agreement where you can cancel at any time for any reason and without penalty.
So can I ask a dumb question? Why would somebody, why would someone hold somebody hostage? I mean, if
you're an agent, why would you want to keep a client that doesn't want to be with you?
Yeah. I mean, that to me just seems like a really tumultuous relationship.
It is. It really comes from a place of scarcity. You know, I'm a big believer that for the most part in life, you can either live in scarcity or you can live in abundance. Mm-hmm. You can live in fear or you can live in love. That comes from scarcity. And it's self-serving. I can't even begin to think how this would possibly be a good business idea to have someone who's literally miserable, doesn't want to be with you, and you're holding them hostage because of some agreement they signed. Well, let's be real. The reason they want out is because you're not performing.
Right. The
reason they want out maybe is nothing even to do with performance. Maybe it's because maybe their life just changed. Maybe they want something different. Maybe they just didn't like something you said sometime.
Right.
Whatever it might be, it's their life. It's their money. It's their equity. It's your home, not mine. And so what I can tell you is that the best don't need to lock you into a long-term contract. The best will take on all the risk, and they'll just perform. It's a performance guarantee. It's if you're not happy, guaranteed. Right? It's in writing. You have to make sure it wasn't just verbally said, but it's in writing in the agreement that the agreement can be canceled at any time for any reason and without penalty.
Is that the language you put in your contract?
Verbatim. And so that's critical. And here's another little tidbit for you is that, just like I shared with the group this past Wednesday, if you have to ask for it, because some agents will give that to you if you ask. Well, in my opinion, if you have to, you shouldn't have to ask. You should be looking for the one that volunteers it, because that'll cue you into the integrity of the agent that you're about to do big-time business with. So that's point number 2. Point number 3. Has the agent that you're considering to engage in the sale of your home, has he sold at least 50 homes over the course of the last 12 months? So assuming a couple weeks vacation, all we're really asking is, are they successful once a week at a minimum? We're not asking for the world. We're just asking, are you at least successful once a week? Because in any other profession, and do you want an attorney that's successful once a week? Do you want a doctor that's successful once a week? Do you want a pilot that flies more than once a week? Do you want a heart surgeon that actually is a regular practitioner, dedicated day in, day out? Well, expect the same out of your home sale. Why not?
That to me is, I think, makes perfect sense. It was like an aha moment. We talked about that after the seminar. I talked to you about that, and it's just an aha moment. But my question to you is, I mean, how realistic is that, Dan, here in San Diego?
There are people that have, and there are people that don't. If you're working with the best, they do. And by the way, it's not just me.
I know that.
This isn't a self-serving thing like, hey, make sure they've sold at least 180 homes. No, that's just 50.
Right.
Okay. By the way, if you have comments to make on this, you can reach us. We're going to keep going on the last point. But first, I'm going to give you a number you can call. Grab your pen, write this down. The number's 800-676-3776. 2420. So the reason you need to be screening for that is that if you're getting to the top percent of the top 1%, or even the top, just the top half of the top 1%, then you're in business with someone that's selling at least 50 homes a year. And to me, I'm just not going to be the guinea pig that someone gets to test their business on,
or put your equity with amateurs is what you say, right?
What I say is that I'm not comfortable putting my life in the hands of amateurs.
Right.
I'm just not. I am not comfortable with my life in the hands of amateurs, and I'm sure you're not either. That's why you're listening to this show while others are listening to punk rock on the other station. Okay? You're listening here because you're not comfortable with your life in the hands of amateurs. I'm not comfortable with it either. For that reason, 50 home sales a year minimum, or you don't get an interview for my home sale. That's how you should be thinking.
Don't waste your time. What's number 4?
Number 4, what is the list to sales price ratio of the agent that you're considering versus the market? Now, I can tell you the market. The market's 95%. 2016 list to sales price ratio was 95% for the market, meaning that if on average $1 million home was sold for $950,000, that's 95%. Okay? So you have to know that the agent is outperforming the market. See, most people ask the wrong question. They ask the what's the commission question when they really are trying to ask, how much am I going to net out of this sale? How much are you going to put in my pocket, Mr. Agent, by the time we're done? That's the question you're typically trying to ask when you're asking the what's the commission question. And that's where you can get then fooled because you could then get someone that says, some discount bozo who says 1% or something. That's what it is. That's what it is. I'm sorry. It says 1%.
Right.
And you think you just saved money, but what you didn't ask was what is your list to sales price ratio versus the market. Right. You go and find out that person is just the average, right? Maybe performing at 95% when you could have been doing business with somebody doing 99% plus. So you've essentially lost 4 percentage points, and essentially to try to save 2 points, you paid 4.
Right.
And if you need to call and go through the math on that, we're happy to. You could reach either Todd or I, 800-676-2420. But what I can tell you is that there are multiple agents in our marketplace performing at 99% plus. So why wouldn't you beat the market, which is performing at 95%? 4% on a $500,000 median price point sale.
$20,000.
$20,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Out of your pocket.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
So think about that. And what's interesting is that the 2 points you sometimes try to save, which is $10,000, you paid $20 to get 10.
Right.
Would you ever hand $20,000 to somebody to get 10 back? I wouldn't. But that's exactly what goes on in the marketplace every day. It really stems from people asking the wrong question. The wrong question is what's the commission? The right question is what is your list to sales price ratio? Then what's the commission?
Right.
Now you can do the real math.
Right.
Those are the 4 interview questions that make sure you're safe when selecting your listing agent. And if you, by the way, have any issue with the bozo comment around the 1%, I'll just leave you with this again. When you have no value to offer beyond your commission, when you have no value to offer on a marketing level, on a results level, there's one place you can go, and that's to discount. There's only one place someone with no other value can go, and that is to discounting. Who are you? What do you expect? Do you shop at Walmart or Nordstrom? It's your call. You're listening to Real Estate Exposed. This is News Radio 600 Kogo. Number here is 800-676-2420. Make sure you're asking the right questions. The right one in this case is how much money is going to go in my pocket, because that's ultimately what matters to you. you're a home buyer, there's no doubt you're frustrated. There's very little inventory, unbelievably low.
You just ran the numbers, Dan. I mean, how many houses are on the market right now?
4,831 properties on the market. But typically, to give that some context, you have, in the market that we've been in recently, you typically have anywhere from 6,000 to 7,000 homes on the market. And to give that even more context, when the market was at its low points in the last recession,
right,
there were over 14,000 homes on the market. Okay, right now there's 4,800, and what's really interesting.
That's countywide, right? That's
countywide,
all San Diego County.
Now let's pull up here quickly. Which homes have gone pending? Okay, meaning how many have gone under contract in the last 30 days? 2,600, meaning that we have about a month and a half-ish of inventory.
Well, that's not true because you and I have talked that basically a third of the inventory on the market doesn't sell, cancels, expires. So you really almost only have like a month worth of inventory on the market, right?
Well, yeah, a little bit of separate issues. The thing to consider is of the 4,800 homes that are on the market, 1,000 or so of those, look, that's a made-up number.
Right.
But let's just say 1,000 or so of those are, let's call them lemons. They're just not going to sell. They're either massively overpriced or they're
not marketed properly.
They're just not marketed right, or they're in extremely undesirable locations versus the price they're marketed at. They're just not going to sell.
Right.
Okay. So really, we have maybe 3,500 homes on the market. 2,600 went pending just the last 30 days.
Right.
And so there's a massive need for good inventory in San Diego, in the county. And for that reason, you, just like you want to demand more out of the listing side, the buyer side as well. For that reason, the reason you're frustrated is most buyers, they're going around. Well, what are they doing? They're going around to open houses where all the other buyers are also at. They're going to the property that pops up online that all the other buyers are at. They're just waiting for their Zillow alert, which all the other buyers are also getting. So you're hanging out in the same pond as all the other buyers. And the best homes are going fast and they're going strong. And it's a very frustrating, very difficult place to be. For that reason, we've actually built out at our office to beat that. We've built out an entire calling team. They're in office right at you can come visit. Okay, and I'm not talking something overseas, where it gives our clients access to more. And in fact, we've built a website for you, accesstomore.com.
Spell it, Dan, because access people.
Accesstomore.com. That's ACCE. I'm not good at spelling without actually writing it down. You put me on the spot that, Todd. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Access. If you can't spell access, don't call us. ACCESSTOMORE, accesstomore.com.
Got it. Or they can call you. They can call, right?
You can call 800-676-2420. But here's the deal. That's a place for buyers to say, hey, here's who I am and here's what I'm looking for. Then we give the parameters to the team at the office. We start calling into the neighborhoods and into the specific homes where we pull title records and all kinds of interesting data sources we have, and actually reach out to door knock, call, mail the specific homes that fit what you're looking for. And I'm not talking about the ones on the market. Everyone already knows about those. Right. And sure, if one pops up and we can get it, great. And you always do have an advantage when there's a name representing you that the people actually recognize.
Right.
But moving beyond that, because that's where everybody else is hanging out, that's a place where you can, where we're accessing, we're getting to people that are just having the kitchen table conversation, talking about selling, but haven't yet raised their hand and told the market. Let's get to them before anyone else gets to them. You deserve access to more, not just somebody that's opening doors on property that already is online that everybody else is seeing too. If you're a frustrated buyer and you need access to more, just simply go to accesstomore.com. That's accesstomore.com. And that calling effort, free, will go out on your behalf and will generate inventory unique to you. I'm Daniel Beer. Thanks for being with us on Real Estate Exposed.
I'm Todd Pianin, Home Street Bank, member of the FDIC, equal housing lender, NMLS ID number 304014. Enjoy the Super Bowl.